This is going to be sort of, a test run. All right. Town,
So violent.
go to sleep. Mafia, wake up. Mafia, who would you like to kill? Mafia, go to sleep. Sheriff, wake up. Sheriff. Sheriff, go to sleep. Doctor, wake up. Doctor, go to sleep. Town, wake up.
Oh, this is so different.
My God.
I'm here to announce the death of a certain someone. Taylor, let the good town know what you were.
I was the doctor.
Evil! Look me in the eye right now and say you're not Mafia.
I'm not Mafia.
Oh my goodness, I know the word that I want to say and it's on the tip of my tongue. That happens and it's just like right there.
In one word, it would be... Let's see. There's a lot of words.
Fuck. Damn it, that's a hard one, Darius.
Oh, Jesus. If I can only get one word.
I thought about this question and I was like, I don't have a good answer.
I don't know.
See, this is the tough question. I'd like to say exciting, but I also don't feel like that's being honest, so I want to say like deceitful.
Can we skip this question and come back to it?
If I could describe Mafia in one word, that word would be chaos.
Chaos.
Chaotic.
Chaos.
Chaos.
Chaotic.
Chaos.
Chaos.
Oh, Jesus. If I can only get one word, it has to be chaos. Which I'm sure other people have used.
Mafia is a game of social deduction, played with a deck of cards and a group of people. At its heart, Mafia is an uninformed majority, the good or town, against an informed minority, the evil or mafia. The game was designed by Dmitry Davidoff in 1986, with the first official game taking place in the spring of 1987 at the Psychology Department of Moscow State University, from where it spread to the classrooms, dorms, and summer camps of the college. He developed the game to combine psychology research with his duties teaching high school students. It became popular in other Soviet colleges and schools. Due to the nature of the game, it became associated with the hugely popular TV series La Pivora.
A Milano, per seguire gli affari di famiglia, di tutte le famiglie, e per starti vicino.
Per controllarmi.
Anche.
In the 1990s, Mafia began to be played in other parts of Europe and then made its way to the United States. The first edition of the game was simple. A group of people pull from a deck of cards provided by the moderator. If their card was red, they were a townie. If their card was black, they were Mafia. After that, the moderator instructs everyone to close their eyes, initiating what is known as the night phase. And then the moderator has the Mafia members open their eyes so they can identify each other and then silently agree on who to kill. The moderator then wakes everyone up and informs the town of the death. This begins the day phase. The group has a discussion on who they believe to be Mafia, and then they vote for the suspected Mafia. Whoever receives the most votes will be sentenced to death. The game is over once all of the Mafia has been eliminated or all the townspeople have been killed. The next evolution of Mafia is similar to its predecessor. You still use a deck of cards to determine roles, but over time, certain roles were added to the game to help the town. Firstly, there is the doctor, who can choose a single person to save every night. And if the Mafia tries to kill said person, their kill will be unsuccessful. The second role is the sheriff. Each night they can investigate a person and the moderator will let them know whether or not that person is with the town or the Mafia. With the added town roles, it became easier for the town to deduce who was and wasn't evil. Many considered it to be an imbalance, and that's where the next evolution of Mafia happens. The game was so loved it was made into a board game, the most popular version of the board game being released by Apostrophe Games in 2007. With the board game, we saw an influx of roles in an attempt to both balance the game and increase the complexity. For the very first time, a solo role was created. The serial killer, another foe of the town, that could only win if they were the last one standing. And the town gained their first killing role in the vigilante. Many other roles were added on, and the Mafia roles were given more power. To put in perspective the popularity and evolution of Mafia, Iran released a television series in 2020 where they had celebrities participate in games of Mafia, entitled Shaba Haye Mafia. Full-hour episodes, a hugely admired and successful series in their country. An integral part of Mafia was the in-person aspect and the sense of togetherness that came with it, and in 2020 that came to a screeching halt.
A SARS-like virus, which has infected hundreds in China, has now reached the United States.
On March 11th, the world watched on as COVID became the forefront of the news. Something many people didn't take seriously became a haunting reality.
The problem is that this is an evolving situation. Literally every day we learn a little bit more about it.
All walks of life had a chilling introduction to the virus and the threat that it posed.
This will put a human face on it, okay? Tom Hanks just tweeted. He and his wife, Rita, are in Australia, okay? They don't feel great. They got tested. They have coronavirus.
The game tonight has been postponed. You are all safe. And take your time in leaving the arena tonight and do so in an orderly fashion. Thank you for coming out tonight.
What do you mean?
Despite the fear, students celebrated the 2 weeks off from school, a break from education, time to relax, and life will be back to normal soon. That reality was quickly shattered.
To unleash the full power of the federal government in this effort today, I am officially declaring a national emergency.
2 weeks turned into 2 months, which turned into 2 years, and the pandemic still remains. With the pandemic making in-person gatherings an impossibility, the desire to connect in other forms grew.
I feel like my extrovertedness is like decreased because of the pandemic a little bit.
Inside all the time. I barely, sometimes I don't know if like I know how to be social anymore. Like I definitely feel out of practice.
It definitely like slowed things down for me in a way that I wasn't prepared for because I'm a busybody and I like to be on the go and doing stuff.
Just really restricted a lot of the things that I can do.
It was kind of lonely because like I didn't really get to spend time with friends as much as I used to and stuff like that.
It was also really weird because pandemic started and my birthday was like just a week or so after that, and it was like putting the one candle on a cupcake and just singing happy birthday to myself kind of moment.
It was just so different. That's the best way that I can put it. Just your entire life kind of flipped upside down.
Tom Connolly wanted to implement something that would bring together others and keep their attention off the ongoing conflict. Tom elected to turn to Mafia.
That, Mafia was sort of born out of boredom and desire to have something to do. And that was why I started running games, because I wanted to socialize with my friends, and I was, locked in my bedroom.
Everyone in the group has been so kind.
The game itself is a nice distraction from other things, and the people and friends are just like a positive experience.
Making connections, making friends, and just getting to know people, getting to like goof off. Like, I mean, you can lie to someone and, you're still friends.
It gave me something to look forward to.
The modern phase of the game moves to the World Wide Web. Just like the board games, there are now many online options to play the game. mostly just random gaming servers that allow you to play with friends or strangers, but the games tend to last half an hour at the most. That's where Tom's group differs. We took to playing the game via the messaging app, GroupMe. Our day and night phases are literal. Throughout the day, we have our discussions and debates in order to choose who we think is evil, and then we vote. At the conclusion of the vote, the night phase begins, and we have the night and following morning to submit actions and have private conversations. Our games typically last between 5 to 8 days.
Especially with it being on GroupMe, like it's so much easier for people to lie to you.
Like you can't see their faces, you can't hear the inflection in their voices.
One thing I will say that I think is really cool about this game and about this group is that there's always like a good number of people, and the people who play like usually are pretty invested.
And it's something that you can really focus on for a long time without realizing it. You just sit down to like kind of scheme with somebody for like 5 minutes and it turns into like 3 hours.
It's also interesting because it's kind of a twist from how you would traditionally play it in person, you know? And so you get to like interact in a different way and also see a bunch of new roles that you wouldn't traditionally see in a Mafia game.
You think that you're talking to one person, or maybe that they're a good guy and a townsperson. Next thing you know, you're getting eaten by a cannibal.
I think something that I think always just sticks out to me is how you take people that, you know, some of the nicest people, some of the most honest, trusting people that you've ever met, and you put them in a situation where you're like, you're allowed to lie. You're allowed to tell people whatever you want. And you can see how evil and conniving people can be. And that is just one of my favorite parts of the game, because you have some of the nicest people lying to every single person. I remember the first game I played in this group, you had two girls who swore on their friendship that they were not certain evil roles, and they were both evil. So just truly getting down to the nitty gritty of it and just seeing how people can really, you know, change up their personality for the game. I love that.
As the moderator, every game starts and ends with Tom. Many people want to know the same thing.
I have a question for you, Tom.
Sure.
So how do you have time to do all, like, how do you keep it all organized and like do it, like, do you use Excel or like, what do you do to like make it happen?
Really, the setup takes several hours, especially if I have any like balancing that I need to do, or if I'm adding a new role or anything like that. When I make the role list, and some of this you'll see in the doc, I tried to explain it really thoroughly. This always starts by pulling up the rules. I have them saved. Tab right here. Now, 13 pages, the Google Doc.
If you look at the rules list, it just seems to go on forever. And there's so many parts to keep track of. It can get very overwhelming.
The role list we have derives from the original Mafia list, combined with some of the various roles that have been created during the evolution of the game, and plenty of new roles developed since the transition to GroupMe. While Tom has become the face of Mafia and has made many additions to the rule doc, he isn't the one who created it. In 2018, James Gildard introduced long-form Mafia to his friends at the University of Georgia. And he takes pride in his original Google Doc that began it all.
It's mine. That is my child. So I wrote the Google Doc just so that people who had never played the game could like learn like what basic Mafia 101. And then also I added a list of roles that I thought would be fun.
We've got a bunch of role descriptions. So all of these, you know, explain what every single individual role does. Like for example, the Mafia Godfather. You're the head of the Mafia. If the group can't decide on a target, your call is final. Additionally, you will appear innocent to the sheriff. You win when everyone opposing the Mafia is killed.
So I just decided to start a group, and we just started playing there. And then it exploded.
And so it did. It spread across the university's campus and eventually found its way to Tom.
You can sort of follow strands of like groups of people playing. Like there's this line of games with this group of people that kind of morphs and changes, and then it'll splinter off. And there's also this group of people playing, and you might not even know that that it's splintered off from you. I remember at one point I was playing a game, I was running a game, and it finished, and I was like inviting people to play the next game. They're like, I'm already playing this game. Like we're halfway through. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, where did this game come from?
Mafia's presence was evident, but no group seemed to be able to stick. And when Tom took over and started his own group, engagement peaked and maintained.
So once I make sure that the rule doc is up to date, then I go through the GroupMe and count the number of players so I know exactly how many roles to pick out. So for this game, we are going to have 28 players. And from there, I begin the process of deciding what roles to use in each game. So there's a few givens, but then outside of that, I'll try and change it up to make sure that the game stays fresh from game to game, and that, you know, we're not just reusing the same roles over and over and over, because that could get a little monotonous. Mafia thrives when there's chaos and disorder and uncertainty.
There's always something new happening. It's never the same game. The same things do not happen. And it's not even necessarily that people are trying to make it new. It's everybody's interpretation of the game is different. And that makes it fun and new and exciting every time. And no matter what I am in what game, I always find myself being drawn to the game and wanting to pay attention to it, even, you know, when sometimes we're not supposed to.
That's why we watch TV. We get to live another person's life. If we read a book, we get to live another life that we don't have. I'm never going to be an NBA All-Star, but I can read something or watch something and kind of live through somebody else. And with Mafia, it's a lot more intimate than watching a TV show. It's like watching a TV show, but you can say, hey, that character sucks. I can and will kill them.
The game just really draws you in and really gets you to start interacting with everyone and just start picking up each and every part of it, because there's so many different aspects of the game through all the different roles. So I just definitely think I'm drawing. I can't take myself away from it when I'm playing.
Generally, in order to make sure the game keeps pushing along, we'll try and have the Mafia who can kill, a serial killer or cannibal who could kill, vampires I think we're going to use in this game, which will kill every other night. So start off here with the Mafia. Number 1 is the Mafia Godfather. After that, I generally like to have both the Mafia Consigliere and the Mafia Consort. So you need to make sure that they have enough power that they can take a few losses and still have a chance to win.
You feeling pretty balanced? You think it's set up to be a good game?
Yeah, definitely. I think this is quite balanced.
In the 26th edition of Mafia, we will be playing with 28 players. 11 of those people will be underappreciated, yet all-important townspeople. There are 8 town roles, 4 evil neutral roles, and 5 members of the Mafia.
What do you do to like make it happen?
Really, the setup takes several hours, but it is easy to commit to that because I love the game. So the role assigning process is one that's had the most inquiry into how I do it. I've got the group me with all of the players' names. So I always set this right next to me. Then I'll go to this website here, random.org. Set the smallest value to 1, the highest value to the number of players, which is 28, and get a sequence. Here's the sequence right next to the roll list. I'll take the first number in the sequence and look at the first person in the group me and assign them that. For example, the first one is 12, which is Jacob. Jacob's the vigilante. So at this time we have all of the roles assigned to people. It's a pretty simple matter. I have a couple last minute things to offer to the group. I'll send the rule list so that everyone has it. And then after that, wish everyone good luck, remind everyone to be kind to each other and have a good time, and it's game on. Information wins games. So regardless of what your role is, try and get as much as you can.
The 11 townies are Becca, Garrett, Ben, Hannah, Hunter, Kelsey, Jack, Kinsey, Madeline, Taylor, and Robin. The 8 town roles are May, who is the sheriff, Amber, the bus driver, MG, the doctor, Jacob, the vigilante, Grant, the veteran, Blue, the lookout, Zoe, the medium, and Campbell, the Mad Hatter. The 4 neutral evil roles are Harrison, the jester, Vienna, the arsonist, Reagan, the vampire, and Sophia Noel, the serial killer. And lastly, the deadly Mafia. Courtney will head the group as the Godfather, Cammy, the Consigliere, Mark, the Consort, Alyssa, the janitor, and Jordan, the tailor.
With that message right there. I've declared it nighttime, and that's what it takes to get the game started. So we're now in night 1.
There's always a lot of debate and scrambling the first night due to lack of knowledge. No matter how much information one is able to compile, the first round of night actions has a large aspect of randomness to it. Now that all night actions have been given to Tom, he sifts through the madness to see the final results.
So, night 1 has concluded, and here we are, the morning of the first day. I've got all of the night actions right here on my phone, all compiled where I can keep a good track of them.
After that, he preps for one of his favorite aspects of the game, storytelling.
Tom's storytelling, which it gets me every time.
I remember being jealous. I was like, damn it, he's doing it better than I did.
Tom's storytelling is always something that I look forward to, whether I'm playing in the game or whether I've died already or not.
Without the storytelling, it's just, the game of the like alliances and lies and that kind of thing. But when you do the storytelling, it makes it more engaging.
And with that emphasis on fun and creative storytelling, and it being paramount to a successful game of Mafia, here's an over-the-top retelling of the events that transpired in Night 1 of Mafia 26. Last night, a wave of evil swept through the town. Jacob Moody was preparing a 21-gun salute for his pet fish, Splashmouth. The sound of him loading all his guns attracted a certain individual to inspect the scene, the serial killer. They knocked Jacob with a shovel and used each one of his 21 guns to shoot him to death. Jacob was the vigilante. Across town, the local vampire could no longer stave off their hunger. Searching for their next meal, they crept through the town looking for someone to snack on. In a nearby park, Kinsey was taking her dog for a walk. Out of nowhere, the vampire leapt from the bushes, and in a panic, Kinsey punted her precious pooch at the vampire and ran for her life, but it was to no avail. The vampire chowed down on both Kinsey and her pug, leaving nothing but their shriveled husk behind. With that, the vampire's thirst was satisfied. For now. Kinsey was a townie. Shockingly, no damage was brought about by the Mafia. The arsonist douses Jack, and the consigliere investigated Reagan. And now the Mafia knows that Reagan is the vampire. The absence of a Mafia kill wasn't from a lack of trying. They targeted Taylor, a townie, but Mary Grace, the doctor, rescued him from the hands of evil.
There's always a few people that have the misfortune of dying night 1, but I think you were quite admirable in not being too salty. Sort of, what was that like? What was your in-the-moment reaction when you got the tag that says, Tom Connerly has, tagged you a message, and you realized, you were a goner that early in the game?
Of course, the one where we're gonna do a documentary, I have to die first.
Right.
I'm a very big proponent of shooting night 1 as vigilante because, number 1, it causes the most chaos, obviously. I got dealt the short end of the stick this game. I got roll blocked, and then I got killed night 1. But...
So not only did you not get to shoot someone, but
right.
You also died.
Right, exactly.
But even in death, your game's not over.
Good involved game always has a good ghost chat. And the medium presides over that.
Most people who die, unless they're in a specific faction like the Mafia, will be added to the ghost chat, and you can ask them for information.
It's really important because it keeps people invested and it keeps them paying attention to the game. And so this gives us one place to all kind of put our theories together, try to piece the game together, and to play on, like you said, after we're dead.
As a previous first night kill, multiple times in a row, I love the ghost chat, and it's really cool to have that insider knowledge as things develop because you don't have the mystery. You know what's going to happen, so it gives a new light of irony to a lot of the interactions that you see.
I think in terms of information and making sure that everyone in the town is informed, the medium is easily like one of the best positions for that.
The small little stuff that you're looking for when you're playing alone is easier to find when you have multiple people. And that small little stuff adds up to figuring out this person, this sucks. So a lot of the time, Ghost Chat will figure it out and at least get one person that's evil kind of figured out.
All right, so day one has just about wrapped up. And that always concludes with a poll for, every player who is still alive to come together and vote and essentially just, kill off one person of their choice. It's one of the best ways for the town to try and, get back at the forces of evil. Here's what it looks like. We'll have a vote. First question, of course, is who dies, and you'll check one of the boxes, and then check who you are. So, voting either ends when I declare it so, or when a majority is reached.
Just like the first night, the first vote is usually a shot in the dark.
Sometimes a vote has to just, be sent on a pure guess.
Like me and May have this bond where it's like, oh, I want you to be on my team kind of thing.
So my goal or strategy was to investigate someone that I wanted to work with. So I investigated Alyssa.
And today's poll ended at 10 o'clock. It's 10:01, so poll is closed. Voting has closed. So here is our poll result. So I'll tag the person and let them know. For any sort of important vote or anything like that, sometimes I'll, try and drum up suspense and go ahead and do a little bit of that. So I'll say Alyssa was lots of... Blue, who was she? What do you think?
I want her to be the vampire. I would love that.
She is not the vampire.
I think she's probably a townie.
Ooh. Also not a townie. She was the Mafia janitor.
And she investigated me night one and figured out that I was bad.
And she turns out Mafia.
I was incredibly unlucky. I just got tossed to the wolves.
Concrete evidence from the town sheriff comes to light. Alyssa is evil, a rare occurrence for the first night. The town acts swiftly and Alyssa is voted out.
So now at this point, I'll give everyone a few minutes to talk, and then I'll go ahead and say, hey everyone, good night. It's night number 2. I'll ask for night actions by a certain time tomorrow morning, and that'll wrap up day 1. After the conclusion of day 1, 1 Mafia member down, vigilante down, and a townie down. Night 2 is an interesting one. Lots of crisscrossing night actions. May seems to be a popular target. Most everyone has figured out that she is a person of importance to the town.
Reagan attempts to convert her into a vampire, but is blocked by Mart, the Mafia consort. The Mafia attempts to kill May, but in improbable fashion, Mary Grace gets her second doctor save in as many nights, starting the game 2 for 2. However, May isn't fully in the clear.
May lives to see another day, but she will be doused.
Vienna douses her. Both Jack and May are now covered in gas. Campbell places the hat on Harrison's head, putting him in danger.
The Mafia are going to find out who the arsonist is. The sheriff is going to find out that Harrison is evil, but he's the Jester, so that could be good for him.
The town, however, isn't able to evade death. Hunter is brutally murdered at the hands of the serial killer, Sophia. Hunter was a townie.
Just day 2 is when a lot more info starts being spread. We'll see people begin to really start working together and trusting each other. Sort of the make or break point of the game for evil.
So, COVID for me has been particularly kind of, I guess, scary. Both of my parents are high risk health and they're a little bit older than most people my age's parents. So, it's required a lot of being careful, a lot of not interacting with people, and making sure that I'm always safe. And that's also meant that I don't see them as often. I don't really get to see my family as much just because their safety is more important to me than, getting to hang out.
The biggest impact COVID has made on my life is the social aspect. I went in a sophomore. Now I'm a senior. I'm going into my last year of college. And it's been so strange to, I guess, have the opportunity to meet people taken away.
The way I interacted, especially with Mafia in the pandemic, was anything. It was a way, kind of like what we were talking about with the people, right? It gave me a way to have some more interaction outside of, the small group that I had already kind of had that exposure with and was kind of stuck with.
Yeah, at first it was kind of just a game and like a way to be distracted from everything that was happening, but now it's turned into more of like a support system.
Since no one of us could see face to face, but at least you guys can communicate in a different way. Like even if it's a game, but once the game ended, people were still talking.
Mafia honestly gave me what feels like a really solid group of friends.
Kind of the impact that it's had for me. I know that anytime I play a game, I'll have these people that will have my back and they'll be fun and they'll lift my spirits up.
It's a nice way to hang out with people virtually and have some social connections and not just feel so isolated.
And that has been really, really important given everything going on with the pandemic and everything, within our personal lives even, and how much change has been going on.
While the group has always been unwavering in their support for one another, it extends further than just moral camaraderie.
Thank you so much
No
for coming.
problem. Thank you. It's so nice to actually meet you.
Yes, it was nice to meet you too.
And to meet Ash. That was honestly the highlight. I've been wanting to meet Ash since I heard of Ash's existence.
Everyone really just was unbelievable with Ash's situation, donating.
My cat had her name is Ash. She's adorable. She's right behind the camera over there. Her stomach and some of her other internal organs were coming through her diaphragm and putting pressure on her lungs. If left untreated, that is for sure fatal, 100% of the time. And it was just very stressful because it happened very suddenly. She was at the vet for some other reason and she came home and they said she's fine. And I got her home and she was acting very sick and I was like, this can't be right. So I had to rush her back and they told me that they had to operate. And I was freaking out because it was more money than I had. And I had set up a payment plan. Took out a credit card and was ready to just okay, I'm gonna be broke. Even from my moved in Boston, I'm gonna have no money, but I've gotta, she's my responsibility. My girlfriend convinced me to make a GoFundMe and try to just help out a little bit. And so I made one and I advertised it pretty much anywhere I could, but by far and away, the Mafia group was so generous.
I remember scrolling through the list of people who donated and just seeing, there was more Mafia members than anyone else. And it was just, $20, $50, $100, unbelievable amounts for Harrison, who most of them had never met.
I mean, it's some of the most generous and caring people that I've ever met. I would say probably over 75% of the people in the group donated, and everybody helped out so much, and we ended up getting almost everything totally paid for. And I'm so ridiculously thankful for the Mafia people and for everybody, but it just was, this is a real group of good people, and I feel very lucky to be involved.
Neutral roles were introduced with the board games and added a whole new dynamic. Winning alone is a tall task and rarely accomplished. The arsonist, serial killer, and a vampire all have the same objective: kill and survive. The Jester is a little different.
The Jester's main goal is to get voted out by the town.
The Jester is the best role in the game.
That truly is the epitome of let me cause chaos. I have my own agenda, and I will do whatever I want.
Definitely the Jester, because it's straight, you just troll the shit out of people.
Basically, purely your imagination, like how you want to execute trying to get killed, right? There's so many countless ways you can try to get killed.
It's a balancing act of like being suspicious enough to get voted out, but not being so overly suspicious that people peg you to be the Jester.
Is there anyone that you don't trust or that you find particularly suspicious right now?
Well, currently with some recent news in the main chat and talking with Reagan, Harrison seems pretty on target.
Harry DM'd me, and so I've talked to them. I didn't really get a lot of information from it, which is saying something.
I don't trust Harry. I'm pretty sure Harrison is evil.
And with that, Mafia 26 has its first official winner, Harrison the Jester.
And the perk of winning as a Jester, you get to pick somebody to kill, which is always fun. It's, you know, you're not really playing for the other side, so you can just sort of go with your gut. Maybe get revenge for a past game or something like that.
So I reached out to him and he told me a lot of information. And at first I was like a little skeptical, but then I was like, okay, I can trust him. I mean, he wants to win. So like, I didn't really expect him to help the town. Like, what's it to him as long as he wins? So I was pretty trusting that in the end of the day, he would uphold his like side of the bargain of where we protect, like we make sure he gets out of the game and gets what he wants. In return, he would vote out who we wanted to, which is going to be the sheriff.
Tom killing Cammy.
Okay.
I think everyone we talked to talked about how they had talked to you in some sort.
Yeah, that adds up. Yeah, I think I messaged literally everybody. Once the hat was on me, I was like, okay, well, town has the leverage on me right now, so I'm just gonna go with them and hope it works out.
I'm amused that you didn't betray town.
Yeah, well, see, here's the thing. I swore an oath to Grant on Ash, and so I had to keep my word. What? Ash lusts for blood. I know.
And so the whole day we were talking, he was like, how many votes do I have? Like keeping like him posted. And then I thought everything was fine. And I checked my phone while making dinner and I saw that he had killed me instead. So I understood it was very good gameplay. I definitely respect that.
We have a crazy night 3 right here. The serial killer is going after the veteran, but the veteran is not on alert. But the bus driver is swapping the veteran and the vampire. So Reagan, the vampire, is going to die to the serial killer. But at the same time, Reagan was going to kill Jack, but was getting roll-blocked by the Mafia. But now, the Mafia who are trying to block Reagan are getting swapped to block Grant. So Reagan, who was going to get blocked and not be able to kill, is going to kill and then die. Serial killer is going to kill Reagan. And then the Mafia are killing Mary Grace, who is the doctor. And she's been clutch so far this game. So, this is a big, big night. Town was on so close to running away with this game. But this is gonna definitely impede their progress. Yeah, absolutely.
Lying is vital to win as an evil role. Some lies are worse than others.
When I realized that Grant was sussing me, I was talking to him, and then he was saying basically that I was the only sus person they could think of, and they ended up thinking that I was the medium, which I kind of let them believe for a little bit and just faked it, and then that was basically what I did the first couple nights, was just pretend that.
Lying about your role works sometimes, but claiming a role that you have no way of proving instead of just saying townie, not the best play.
Uh-oh. In real time, the medium has just said, hello, at Jacob Moody, the vigilante. Would you be willing to possess me to shoot Vienna?
Once per game, you can have someone possess you, and you can encourage them to do a specific thing with their action if they had one, although they ultimately make the final decision. May, who is the sheriff, she hurriedly texted me at 12:45 and was like, can you please have the vigilante possess you and kill Vienna? We want to get rid of the arsonist. And so I, as quickly as possible, messaged Jacob.
Zoe wants to use you to shoot Vienna. And I need a yes or no from you as to whether you want to do that.
Alright.
Doing it?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Alright.
I'll play the game.
And now, another case of us taking our shit way too seriously. Last night, Amber was doing some late night driving for Uber Eats, using her fancy new bus as a way to dash around town. However, the Mafia installed a razor-sharp tripwire that she drove over, and it burst her tires. The bus crashed and exploded in a fiery wreck, and Amber was launched into the air by the force of the explosion, where the Mafia then sliced her in half with one of the blades from the helicopter that they were flying overhead. Amber was the bus driver. Afterwards, the Mafia landed their helicopter and decided they were going to do some tailoring. So, they grabbed their finest suit and headed to a house to disguise the person there. However, when they slipped through the door, they were greeted by the end of a sawed-off shotgun, wielded by the veteran, who sat waiting for any intruders. The veteran blasted the Mafia tailor to a pulp with their shotgun. Jordan was the Mafia tailor. And across town, two people were peacefully sleeping in their beds despite the gasoline that covered them. The arsonist, who could wait no longer, finally did what they love most. Using their trusty blowtorch, they lit their victims ablaze, instantly incinerating May and Taylor. May was the sheriff, Taylor was a townie.
It did not work. Apparently the shot went through and everything. I wasn't blocked or anything, but I looked back at the rules and arsonists cannot be killed at night. So, yeah, it was a waste of the possession, but it also is like solid definitive proof that Vienna is arsonist. So I guess there's a little bit of a victory out of that one.
The reason I decided to light up what I did was because some of the people that I had doused earlier in the game had gotten killed before I could kill them, and I had just had some bad luck, and I really didn't want that to happen again.
Night 3, and so I told the main chat, I was like, hey guys, I'm doused. And you know that's a ticking time bomb. Usually I expect an arsonist to hold out pretty long before they pull that trigger, but I guess they had 2 or 3 important people, and they knew that people were onto them. So I woke up and saw that I had a bunch of notifications, and about half of those were from Ghost Chat. And so I looked at that and I was like, okay, I think I know where this is headed.
My name was being tossed around and I was a potential target, so I wanted to make sure that I was able to actually get in kills.
Okay, I thought she lit because she was scared, because everyone was like tossing around her name. I should have known to get her out in the polls early. I did not. And as soon as like you didn't send me who I investigated his role, and I was like, I'm dead.
So the Mafia Tailor can once, like every night, submit a night action to go dress anyone else in the game, and then for 2 nights they'll appear like evil if they're investigated by the sheriff or like anyone else. So you can kind of like make someone appear evil even if they're not.
The way that I played the veteran, I took it as I'm a townie, but I have a little bit extra leeway to really get up in people's faces and then antagonize the evil roles. Tried to be like an arbiter of information for the rest of the town, connecting town roles and calling out bad guys in the main chat, knowing that I had that little layer of protection at night. It's a lot of fun trying to guess when somebody might go after you. It's kind of a shot in the dark unless you have like insider information.
I went to go dress Grant,
I don't know. I remember having a suspicion specifically that night. I was like, someone's going to come after me.
Who was the veteran, who I knew was the veteran, and he went on alert. So when I showed up to dress him, he killed me.
After day 2 or 3, the voting picture usually begins to become a little more clear as more information comes to light. Based on logic and deduction, there is a solid case to kill off at least 1 or 2 people. But the town had nothing. Essentially drawing a name out of the hat, the town lands on Mark.
Some pretty bad luck on the Mafia's part. Mark got voted out in the day 4, and there was no clear evidence. It was purely a guess.
Mark, the Mafia consort, is sentenced to death.
Sometimes you gotta have a little luck to win Mafia, and we're seeing a lot of that.
Well, I think mental health wise, it's definitely been a struggle. I suffer from depression and anxiety, and I had previously been going to a therapist, but because of COVID, that kind of threw that up in the air. And my honor share was pretty demanding. So it's kind of been a struggle trying to look at, the end of the tunnel, even though it's far away. But it was hard on kind of all of my relationships because I was stuck at home. So it was just kind of one of those like ands where I was like, really feel like I just want to like get up and just go about the world as normal, and it wasn't anymore. So
yeah, I can talk about that. I know for me, when COVID first really started, and it wasn't, I guess, as quote unquote, as big of a deal as we all realized it really could have been, was I was going on a bike trip across the country, and about 700 miles into my bike trip, I stopped with a family friend. And when I got to the family friend's house, she told me that my parents really needed to talk to me. And so they gave me a phone call and let me know that a close friend of ours, Pierce, that his father had passed away, I think the night before, the day before, from COVID, very suddenly. And so I know that, you have a lot of those moments in times like this where you really kind of comes to your realization how serious things can be and how short life really can be. And that was really my moment, how I would say COVID, the thing that impacted me most during COVID, because it was like the world just kind of came crashing down. I was on a very big high of trying to, do something, a big personal goal of mine. And it's just all of a sudden that didn't matter. And all that mattered was like being home and being with those people that mattered. And so I think COVID, especially in times like this, you realize how important, the little things are and the important people are in your life.
I guess I can start with my experience with the pandemic. It was not a good experience by any stretch of the imagination. I think so much of me didn't enjoy college, and I was looking to senior year to make it, something really special. And it looked like it could be. I was figuring out who I am as a person, and really learning to truly love music and performing and piano. And then we were on spring break and saw on TV the NBA is canceled. And then we were on the beach and got an email that said, we're going to have 2 more weeks of spring break. And then we get home and 2 more weeks becomes 3 more weeks. And then becomes the rest of the semester. And then becomes the semester after that. Online class, online piano lessons. It was pretty miserable. Almost 100%. I'm the type of learner where I very much need to be hands-on and have, that physicality of being able to see something in front of me or, see it explained. in a way that I can tangibly understand. And I love learning like that. But sitting at a computer, at my desk, in my bedroom, often having just rolled out of bed straight to my chair right here, just to stare at a screen and listen to a lecture or anything like that, really just destroyed me. I prepared my hour-long senior piano recital on this digital keyboard right here. And that's, not the way I wanted to learn. And so school was really awful, and that sort of led to a pretty severe decline in my mental health. And probably since senior year, I started to have a pretty severe problem with binge eating, and that sort of thing. And then college really only exacerbated that. So my freshman and sophomore years, I gained a bunch of weight because I didn't acclimate well to college, and that was the only way that I could deal with it. And I'm not proud of that. But I had started to get a handle on it. Sort of, recognizing what I was doing and self-sabotage. And I mean, the time before that, I was losing weight. I was doing a great job, feeling good about myself, and the pandemic really sort of stopped that. Gained some weight back, got back into stress eating, and really, ruined all of those good habits that I had started to develop. So I'm not proud of that at all, but that's how I dealt with it. It's taken until this point to start deconstructing those bad habits and those self-destructing life choices to understand, I can't treat myself like this. No matter how much my brain and my body tells me I need to. So many times that was my only friend. I think, I had an awful day today. I need to get some food. That'll make me feel better. And it didn't. Maybe for a minute or two. And then I'd tell myself the same thing the next day. So really just awful overall. But there were a few things that were good, and I think Mafia was one of the best ones. To have a group of people that cared so genuinely about me. And, even relied on me. Keeps it going. So that was pretty special. We started the group just because I missed my friends from school, and we had 2 weeks of spring break, and I wanted to socialize. But then I kept it going because it meant so much to so many people. And I knew that I, couldn't in good conscience take that away from them. And then that turned into, me needing it. Needing to see people enjoy themselves. And that led to me enjoying it because I knew how much I meant to so many people.
Whew. You're good.
Shit. I didn't mean to say all that.
Ooh, it's good. It's real, Yeah. It's special that you can share it like that too. Mafia has been important. Whew. I'll give you a second because this battery is about to die, so I need to switch it out. I guess that's good time, but I'm gonna grab the battery.
Tom is the linchpin that holds everything together. Without Tom, there would be no Mafia. And I'm very grateful that he puts in all this effort and sort of holds he sort of holds everything together, you know? And he has created this community that, in all honesty, probably means the world to me, you know? Just like our friendship does.
His attitude and the way he embraces just being a kind person is what is the driving force behind this turning into more than just a group of people playing a game.
Yeah, even if he has a lot going on, he always tries to make time to run games for us, just because he knows how much it means to all of us. And
kind of like I guess I mentioned, I'm incredibly impressed with how well he's been able to manage this many games, you know, for this long with the same basic group of people. Yeah, people have come and gone and that sort of thing. But I mean, that's even more impressive because he's managing that kind of a community over such a long period of time.
Like, I feel fortunate that I have been in a position where I could play it with these people. And that's big thanks to you, Tom, for being such a good game master and just also just friend to people. Because people want to play well for each other and for you.
Yeah, so the lookout sees anyone who visits. It's really good for finding the sneaky ones like vampire and cult leader.
A discussion in the Ghost Chat makes its way to Campbell via Zoe the Medium. Campbell places the hat on Courtney, the final standing Mafia member. Courtney kills Blue, who was the lookout.
So, we've had to speed the game up a little bit. So last night, instead of ending with the vote and asking for night actions overnight, we did another set of night actions just in the evening. And so now, this morning, we'll start a vote and let that run for a few hours. It's looking pretty rough for the Mafia, I cannot lie. All they have left is Courtney Stewart, the Godfather. And right now, she has the hat on her.
The town takes a commanding lead, but the tricky thing about leads, it adds pressure. And with so few evil remaining, the choice of who to vote out grows more difficult. The town compiles a list of people they deem to be suspicious and decide Ben's sneaky game will no longer go unnoticed. Ben is sent to the afterlife. He was a townie.
If I get killed, I get killed.
Last night, Courtney was participating in a monster truck rally. She had her truck all souped up and ready to go, but for some odd reason, she substituted a safety helmet for a tall silk top hat. She did flips, rolls, and figure eights, and was putting on an amazing show. But she failed to impress the Mad Hatter. They pressed their secret button and blew up the hat. Courtney was blown up just as she was taking the final turn, and her monster truck crashed and burned. Courtney was the Mafia Godfather. In her final moments, Courtney pressed a special button of her own and launched a rocket-powered anvil from space. It streaked towards Earth and impacted Becca, leaving a huge crater in the town. Becca was a townie.
We have like such good plans, and then they don't work out. It's very annoying.
In the ghost chat, Jacob and a bunch of people had a good discussion. Zoe relayed it to Campbell, and she decided to pull the trigger on the hat, which, to be honest, obviously it's a fantastic move. Just all the bad breaks are happening for the evil, all the good breaks are happening for town, but I also do think the town, alongside with the ghost chat, have played a phenomenal game.
Tom and I came into the week wanting a spectacular game that showcased how fun and exhilarating Mafia could be. And with it being 10 against 1 going into day 6, and everyone knowing who that one person was, it isn't quite what we had hoped for. But that's okay. Given the circumstances, Vienna saved everyone the trouble of having to vote. She announces her resignation in incredible arsonist fashion, and bids adieu to the town.
Yeah, I take pride in being the last evil standing, but there are definitely some things I could have done different. And once the medium tried to kill me at night using their possession and it didn't work, everyone kind of knew that I was the arsonist and there wasn't really a lot of time left for me. So on that last day, I just decided to out myself, save everyone time.
And with that, evil has been eradicated. And the town wins.
And I hope that people that aren't included in our little Mafia world can get some joy out of games similar to this, or like start their own Mafia games, and just it's fun, and I hope that everybody gets a chance to try to experience it at some point.
Like, no, shut the fuck up, play the game. Just trust me, it's gonna be super fun. And they all loved it, of course. So I would say the same thing to anybody watching this who hasn't played before. Just give it a whirl and you'll be shocked at how involved you'll probably get with it. It'll take over your life.
People, I think, are here to stay. There's so much of a community that's been developed that they're not just playing Mafia, they're hanging out with friends. Tonight I'm going to get to meet a bunch of people who I've never met, but I've spent a year interacting with. And that's pretty special.
You're Reagan. Nice to meet you in real life, Reagan. And Melissa?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Taylor?
Yes.
I can't believe she was
Nice to meet you.
I'm
just not. You all look so different than like your profile. I'm just very confused right now.
Seeing, that the world is moving back towards normal, vaccines are pretty readily available. Going back to work and having in-person classes, and just, that time that was spent with nothing to do is now being filled.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, even in a world that's back to normal, like Mafia will still stick around and you'll keep playing?
I do. I would make time for Mafia.
I don't think going back to some semblance of normal will take that away. And so I would like to be with this group. As long as the people I care for are still here, I'd like to stick around.
Get ready.
Oh gosh.
Jacob ain't filming.
That's fair.
That's how you know
step
you win
one,
Mafia.
kill
Jacob.
Step
Step 2, continue said game.
Well, if you're on the same side as Jacob, you want him to be alive.
No,
Maybe.
even then.
I think I'll definitely continue to play Mafia. I've actually been thinking about that, like that question and stuff a lot the past couple days. Not whether I'll play Mafia or not, but just the concept of we started out and this was the only thing we did. Like, my world stopped for morning announcements kind of thing.
I'm thankful that we did have this like at the beginning of the pandemic, and just, I mean, I'm so glad we've kept it going.
I think regardless of it being in person, it being over GroupMe or anything, I would continue to play just for the sake of, I love the connections that I've made, and it's helped me to come out of my shell a lot, I think.
How long do you think you'll continue to play Mafia?
As long as you're still running them. Truthfully.
Yeah, I really love this group, and as long as he's running it, I don't see why I wouldn't be playing.
Yeah, I think we'll make it to Mafia 50. I'll run Mafia games as long as there's people who want to play, because I enjoy it, and I enjoy seeing people enjoy it. the lead up to this whole documentary, this whole process has really helped, remind me why I love Mafia so much. And when we get to the end of the game and everyone says, thank you, Tom, this is an awesome game. We had so much fun. What more reason do you need to keep coming back?
All I'm saying
Taylor,
is
why'd you
we're
clap
people
your hands in
watching.
I just want to be close.
Yeah!
Wait, look me in the eye right now and say you're not Mafia.
I'm not Mafia.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen Darius in a while. It'll be good to reconnect a little bit, have some good, time spent together actually in person. I don't know. I feel like I'm a really different person from who I was then in a lot of ways, but at the same time, there's a lot of me that I think I've wanted to keep. So it'll be interesting to see sort of, getting back into the headspace of who I was, almost a year ago. Revisiting all of that. It's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it.
I mean, with the time to reflect on everything, initial thoughts from Mafia 26, and then just kind of like looking back on it. How do you feel about it?
So it is a bit of a bummer that like the one game that we chose didn't come down to the wire.
Good thing?
Yeah, it ended up providing a really nice backdrop for us to tell, I think, a really beautiful story about camaraderie and, essentially what's become a family to a lot of people in the group. It's really special. The quality of the game really, I think, was inconsequential and maybe even opened our eyes to see what story we should have been telling all along,
What do you hope people learn about Mafia, take away, and, maybe do after the fact?
Just the value of being a nice person to people that you don't know. Something that I never could have foreseen in my life, to have this whole community of people that are so loving and supportive and caring, and that they would do all of that, for others in the group and for me. Like, who am I? I'm just a guy. I'm, to many of them, I'm no one, but, they still show me love anyway. Frankly, I don't know where I'd be without it. So I don't think it's any, I don't think it's a ridiculous statement to say that Mafia has truly changed my life. Town? Go to sleep.
I broke free on a Saturday morning. I put the pedal to the floor.
Careless Whisper!
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what more confirmation do you need that you're doing the right thing and that you're friends with the right people?